In this video, I will be discussing the new Genshin 2.1 leaks about the character Baal, and possible roles for her in a team based on her leaked kit. I'm new to this whole YouTube thing, so if you end up liking this video, consider subscribing. It's free, and you can always change your mind later. Thanks, and enjoy the video. So, there I was. A low-budget, tuna fish Genshin Impact player, scouring the internet for any information at all on the new 2.1 characters that were released to see, who I'm gonna save for, who I'm throwing my primos at. That's when I came across some reputable leaks on Twitter at Aleku was taken about Baal, the next 5-star character after Yoimiya, according to beta testers. So shout out to Raiden Breath, Sakuna, and ABC64 for the leaks, and links to their socials will be down in the description box below, so go show them some love, because they gave us a lot of information for us to work with. And without further ado, we're just going to get right into it with a video of Baal's idols and normal attacks. As you can see from the video, Baal is an electro polearm user with 5 normal attacks in her combo. These are her multipliers at level 10, but again, all these numbers are from the beta test, so everything is subject to change, right? All this information is subject to change, none of it's confirmed, but it's just to get a better idea of what Baal can do when she does come out. Continuing on. So that right there was Baal's elemental skill. The talent info goes, the Raiden Shogun unveils a shard of her euthymia, dealing electro damage to nearby opponents and granting nearby party members the Eye of Stormy Judgment. Eye of Stormy Judgment. When characters with this buff attack and hit opponents, the Eye will unleash a coordinated attack, dealing AoE electro damage at the opponent's position. The Eye can initiate one coordinated attack every 0.9 seconds per party. So, these are the multipliers at level 10, and again, these are not confirmed. I'm going to be reiterating that throughout the entire video just to get it through people's head that these are not confirmed. These are not confirmed. This is all just from the beta. Everything's subject to change, right? But continuing on, this skill is both a buff to the team and a way to apply electro, which is very useful, but I will explain more on how this affects Baal's role on a team after we see her elemental burst, right? So I'm going to continue on. So Baal's elemental burst, as you just saw, is that she gets to use the sword that you see. You know, the Booba sword, the one that everyone saw in the Genshin 2.0 trailer, and the cutscene in the boss battle against Baal. You know, that's her thing, right? So the talent info goes, gathering truths unnumbered and wishes uncounted, the Raiden Shogun unleashes the Moso no Hitotachi and deals AoE electro damage, using Moso Ishin in combat for a certain duration afterwards. The damage dealt by Moso no Hitotachi and Moso no Ishin is based on the number of Shogun Bakugen no Rin resolve stack consumed when this skill is used. Moso Ishin. While in this state, the Raiden Shogun will wield her Tachi in battle, while her normal charged and plunging attacks will be infused with electro damage, which cannot be overwritten. When such attacks hit opponents, she will regenerate energy for all nearby party members. Energy can be restored this way once every 1 second, and this effect can be triggered 5 times throughout the skill's duration. While in this state, the Raiden Shogun's resistance to interruption is increased, and she's immune to electrocharged reaction damage. Shogun Bakugen no Rin. When nearby party members use their elemental burst, the Raiden Shogun will build up resolve based on the amount of energy they consume. The maximum amount of damage of resolve stats is 60. So that's a lot to take in. Just reading this, like anyone will see that it's a lot to take in. So what this basically does is when she pops her ult, she will first do a burst of AoE electro damage, and then switch to her sword, which infuses all of her attacks with electro, so she is constantly hitting electro damage while in her ult. One thing to keep in mind is that her infusion can never be overwritten, meaning she is compatible with C6 Bennett, gaining his attack boost with no detriment. During that state, when she has the sword and she's infused with electro, she will be able to regenerate energy for the rest of your team while also gaining a damage buff based on the number of stacks obtained by the rest of your team using elemental burst. So as you can see here, it says 0.2 stacks per energy consumed. So she obtains 0.2 stacks for every energy consumed, and the 80 is the highest energy cost we have in the game. So 80 times 0.2 is 16, which is about 1/4 the amount of 60, right? The amount of total stacks she can have. So if one person on your team's using a level energy cost 80 ult, will give it so that she has 16 stacks, and you just need to do 3 more times for you to get max stacks and max damage on her ulti, right? A thing to note is that her energy cost is high at 80, but it makes sense because you are essentially trading her ult for the rest of your team's ult, right? Because when you're in her ult skill, she's regenerating energy for all your nearby party members, so she's just gonna get energy for everyone. These are multipliers when she's in her ult form, but again, everything's subject to change, like I constantly remind you. One fact we can't overlook is that while in her burst, she gains increased resistance to interruption and immunity to electrocharge damage. While it may not seem like much, getting those in an ult when she's already doing so much more damage than normal will only increase your survivability and damage even further for the times where you are not interrupted in the middle of a combo. So it goes back to what I was saying before on how I would explain what her role is, right? So it seems to me that Baal is going to be a sub DPS and / or battery based on the fact that her elemental skill is able to give both a buff to the current character on the field and constantly apply electro without her being present on the field, not unlike Fischl, right? Fischl's Oz. Her ult is also very useful because it also allows for her to gain buffs and temporarily do a lot of damage while simultaneously regaining energy for the rest of the team. If you guys don't understand like the worth that is, or like the value that brings to your team, it's crazy because of the fact that she's doing so much damage, she's getting buffs, and then when she recharges the energy of your team, she will get back her buffs even more, like faster, because of the fact that your team is going to start using burst, right? But that's why I see her as a sub DPS, because you don't want her to be on the field all the time. You just want her to pop her ult and dip, right? But I'll continue on with that, continue more of that later. So I'm going to continue on to her constellations. So I am a low, as I said in the beginning, I am a low budget to tuna fish player. So I don't expect to get any constellations, but for any of the whales that want to whale on her and that want to know what her constellations are to consider it, here they are. So C1, Shogun Bakugen no Rin will gather resolve even faster. When electro characters use their elemental burst, the resolve gain is increased by 80%. When characters of other elemental types use their elemental burst, the resolve gain is increased by 20%. So basically what this means is that the attack stacks that you gain when you're in your ult form that you get from your teammates using their elemental burst it basically just increases the number of stacks you get. So if your electro character does an electro burst, then you get 80% more resolve. Where if you just have any other character do a burst, then it'll be 20% more resolve, right? So it just gives you more damage stacks faster. It makes it more consistent damage when you're in your ult. C2, when the Muso Ishin state applied by Secret Art Moso Shinetsu expires, all nearby party members, excluding the Raiden Shogun, gain 30% bonus attack for 10 seconds. So basically what this constellation does is it's rewarding you for switching out. And again, as I said before, I think that it benefits more if you have this sub DPS type style and you use her as a sub DPS, because of the fact that after you pop your ult, after your ult expires, it's encouraging you to switch to your teammates that should all have their elemental burst as well, due to the fact that Baal's elemental burst gives the rest of her team back their elemental burst, right? So that's like so valuable. C3 and C5 are the basic constellations to raise the burst talent and the E talent. However, I like how they made C3 the burst talent, because they realized that the burst is more important than the E. So if you just want to stop at C3, this is a good place to stop. C4 is kind of crazy too, though. While in the Muso Ishin state applied by Secret Art Muso Shinsetsu, the Raiden Shogun's attack ignores 60% of the opponent's defense. So basically, this is just an ultimate damage boost when you're inside your ult, right? But again, the reason why I'm saying I'm going to keep reiterating the fact that I believe that she's a sub DPS, because of the fact that outside of her her burst, it doesn't seem that she's going to have a way to do that much damage. Outside of her, she's a very Q dependent character, so outside of her burst, she's not going to be doing much damage, and she's much more better for supporting and buffing other people, right, with her elemental skill. So C5 I've already talked about. It's the E constellation. And then C6, while in Muso Ishin state applied by Secret Art Muso Shinsetsu, the Raiden Shogun's normal charge and plenty attack will decrease all nearby party members, but not including the Raiden Shogun herself, elemental burst CD by 1 second when they hit opponents. This effect can trigger once every 1 second and can trigger a total of 5 times during the state's duration. So basically what this does is when you're in your ulti form and you're regaining your energy for your team and you're doing a lot of damage, you're also now reducing the cooldown of your team's elemental burst. So this should basically guarantee the fact that your entire team should have their burst by now, even if their cooldowns are long, right? That's what this is doing. It just guarantees that it's basically no matter what, you're gonna get your burst back. Because from what I understand, this effect can trigger every 1 second and can trigger a total of 5 times. So that's 5 seconds you could drop off an elemental burst, which is a lot of damage and just makes it a lot more sustainable and makes it a lot more consistent, right? All right, and this is gonna be the last thing that I show. This is yeah. So this is gonna be the last thing I show. It's gonna be her weapon, right? So Grass Cutter's Light. The base attack is 608. The energy recharge it's an energy recharge substat, a low base attack, and the passive is attack increased by 56% of energy recharge over base 100%. You can gain a maximum bonus of 120% attack, gain 50% energy recharge for 12 seconds after using an elemental burst. So first thing to say is the weapon is very aesthetically pleasing, right? It fits her very well looks wise, right? You can tell that this is her her quote unquote best in slot weapon and her weapon, because just based on the looks, right? So the reason why I think and I solidified my idea that she is going to be a sub DPS is when I looked at this weapon, I saw that this was no way that a main DPS would have this weapon, right? The low base attack, it has energy recharge as a substat, and its passive is increases attack percent based off of energy recharge, and you gain more energy recharge. So basically the only two things that you benefit from this weapon is attack percent and energy recharge. And most players know by this point that these aren't the stats you want to prioritize, right? It's nice to have energy recharge, but every character has a certain amount that you need, a threshold that you get, and attack percent, there's diminishing returns, right? Once your attack gets so high, you'd much rather have crit damage or crit rate, which is why I'm saying that in my opinion, I think that she is going to be a sub DPS. Because of all the reasons I said before, I believe she was going to be a sub DPS. I believe that she will be able to output main DPS damage and be comparable to other main DPSs. However, I believe that at the end of the day, her role in a team should always be a sub DPS and a battery for the rest of your teammates, right? Like, I think that's the most optimal way to play her always, but that doesn't mean her damage isn't gonna be good. Right? I'm not saying she's gonna be weak. I'm not saying she cannot be a main DPS. I'm saying her role in general is a sub DPS because you do not want her always to be always on the field. You want her to pop her E buff, buff another teammate, pop her ult, do a bunch of damage with her ult and her damage stacks, gain your elemental burst for the rest of your team, swap out. And then swap out to everyone else, use their burst, and then once the cooldown is reset for Baal's burst, you just go back and rinse and repeat, right? Like, I feel like that's how you use her. I might be wrong. I might be incorrect about my hypothesis, but just based on her kit and everything I've seen so far, I believe that she's more suited for a sub DPS build. But this is just my thoughts based on her kit. So, what do you guys think about Baal? Do you like her? Do you think she'll be played differently? Let me know in the comments down below and leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch y'all next time.